Well, hey guys, welcome to Element in week 5 of Hot Wings. We've been doing this for a few weeks now. Hopefully you've been able to find yourself in the story a little bit. I just want to go over a couple quick things as we get started this morning. One is we've been doing this Hot Wings series. We're wrapping it up this week with Phil. And we've been doing it through John 4 and the beginning of John 5 because what we find in those passages are conversations with Jesus. And so as we look at those conversations, Phil and I get to have a conversation, and we hopefully help you find yourself in the middle of a conversation with Jesus, because I know a lot of the things that the people battled then are things that we battle now. And so hopefully it's been good for you. Hopefully you've been enjoying that. But I just want to let you know it's coming to a close this week. This is the last one. And next week we're going to be doing something completely different. We got kind of a long-form conversation. Think Joe Rogan podcast, but it's going to be cut up into like 30-minute segments, and you can kind of prepare yourself for that conversation by reading the rest of John 5. So today we're going to read up till verse 15, and then if you read 16 through the end of the chapter, ahead of listening in next week, we're going to be focusing on 3 things. What did Jesus say about himself? How would the people have reacted? And then at the end of the day, what does it mean for us in 2020? And so we want you to tune in for that over the next few weeks. We think it's going to be a lot of fun. We got some great guys on the lineup for that, and so make sure you check it out. And then one last thing before we jump in. Phil's wife, Christina, works at Baltimore Washington Medical Center, right? In the ICU. She's been dealing with a lot of COVID-19 patients. And we committed at Easter that we were going to help out. She had expressed the need that was really, really simple, just of providing drinks like bottled water and Gatorades. So we've got 9 cases of drinks in my trunk right now that we're going to drop off on Tuesday. And then this coming Wednesday is the first time we're providing lunch for them for 60 people who are on day shift, just to make sure they've got meals, they feel encouraged. And so I want to give you 2 ways that you can participate. One, if you'd like to write cards, notes of encouragement, anything like that, you can text me, call me, email me, drop it off to the house by Sunday, or we can pick it up from you on Monday. And we want to just drop those off when we drop off drinks on Tuesday. And the second way that you can help is just be in prayer for them. Reach out. If you want to get Christina's contact info, I'd love to pass it along to you so you can see maybe kind of how they need help moving forward. One last disclaimer, because I didn't think we were going to have this. My dog has decided to start chasing his tail randomly, which is probably about the worst time it could have happened, because for the past hour we've been hanging out. That hasn't been happening, but now all of a sudden it's started. But let me get us started by reading this passage, and then I'm going to try and take care of him real quick. All right. So John chapter 5 starts this way. It says, after Jesus returned to Jerusalem for one of the Jewish holy days, inside the city near the sheep gate was the pool of Bethesda, and with 5 covered porches. Crowds of sick people, blind, lame, paralyzed, lay on the porches, and one of the men lying there had been sick for 38 years. When Jesus saw him and knew he had been ill for a long time, he asked him, would you like to get better? The man said, I can't, for I have nobody to put me in the pool when the water bubbles up. Someone else always gets there ahead of me. Jesus told him, stand up, pick up your mat, and walk. Instantly, the man was healed. He rolled up his sleeping mat, began walking. But the miracle happened on the Sabbath. So the Jewish leaders objected. They said to the man who was cured, you can't work on the Sabbath. The law doesn't allow you to carry that sleeping mat. But he replied, the man who healed me told me, pick up your mat and walk. And they said, well, who said such a thing as that? And the man didn't know, for Jesus had disappeared in the crowd. But afterward, Jesus found him in the temple and told him, now you are well, stop sinning, or something even worse may happen to you. And then the man went and told the Jewish leaders that it was Jesus who had healed him. All right, so there's a couple things that happen in that passage that are weird, some different things that go on. I've got 10 questions. We've got 10 wing sauces that are going to build from weak, really, really weak, to pretty significantly hot. So hopefully we'll have some fun with this. But the first sauce is banana pepper, 300 on the Scoville scale. Should be fun. And I paired them up this week because I got tired of Steve complaining 2 weeks ago that I was giving him drumsticks and I was eating all the wings.
Oh, Steve. God bless him.
Yeah, exactly. Steve whines too much.
Isn't he old too?
Yeah, exactly. Phil brought up that he was old, not me. You eat as much of the wing as you want, and I'm going to pass them over. We'll get rid of them. One of our guys will take them. But, all right, so this story starts with Jesus going to Jerusalem for a holy day. Like, just that idea of holy day is where we get our word holiday from, right? Pretty simple. But out of all the holidays that we celebrate here in America, what's your favorite to celebrate? What's the dumbest holiday we have?
I think my favorite's Thanksgiving.
Why?
It's the best food besides the turkey. I think the turkey's not the best.
Oh, thank you. We agree on that.
But I do love the macaroni and cheese. I love the mashed potatoes. Shameless plug for black people. We love sweet potato pie, not pumpkin pie. You should try it. It's amazing. I think the worst holiday is a made-up holiday, and that's Valentine's Day. And it's one of the worst times ever. Well, it depends on who you talk to. Some people call it a holiday, some people don't. A lot of women consider it a holiday because it's free for them, and it's not free for me. So I'm very against Valentine's Day. I think it's the worst.
Good for you. I'm just separating myself. I'm not getting in on that. All comments made by Phil are only representative of Phil, not of Element, and not of my marriage. I hate Valentine's Day too. My wife is convinced I should take care of her 365 days a year, not pick one to try and make up for all the crap that I did the rest of them.
Exactly.
So, all right. Wing number 2, Anaheim pepper, 1,500 on the Scoville scale. Supposed to be 5 times as hot as that last one, but this is one of those green sauces I hate.
Is it?
You like green sauce?
No, it doesn't even look green.
It's gross.
Was it like that green sauce that's like in Chipotle?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or like green Tabasco.
Yeah.
It's not. It's just not good.
Yeah.
All right. Not a fan? No. All right. So Jesus heads to a pool. And this is kind of a weird part of the story. I'm not asking you to explain all this. I'm just kind of making sure people know it. Jesus heads to this pool because people believe that it had healing power. And basically what would happen is they believe that the Spirit of the Lord would stir up the water, and the first one in after the stirring of the water would be healed. Now, I don't know how that works. I don't even know that it was true. What I know is the man's sitting by this pool for 38 years because he's trying to be the first one in, and he hasn't won the race yet. But the other thing is, there's a lot of other people there. So Jesus, to get to this guy, and we don't get this unless we kind of like have been to this place or can imagine the scenario, but Jesus, to get to the man who's trying to sit by the edge of the pool, will kind of be like, pardon me, excuse me, stepping over people, walking around people, kind of ignoring some people, not really the way we want to think about Jesus typically, but he's very intentional about getting to this guy. And so my question for you is kind of in that line of thought. Like, how do you choose who you invest in, or not really so much who you avoid, because I know that's like a different question, but like, how do you choose with intentionality the people that you invest in or become friends with or spend time with? Because there's a million people who want to hang out.
Right.
There's only a few that we can actually hang out with. So
That's true.
How do you make that choice?
By like their actions. I know like there's a lot of people who will complain about things and their lives never really change because they just like to complain. I try to stay away from people like that as far as possible, like the plague. They always say those people who are around you kind of represent who you are. I don't want to be represented by negative people who don't do anything, who aren't people of action, especially for men as well. That's a biggie. I definitely like to hang out with people who have vision, who see some purpose in their lives, who are definitely goal-oriented. Those are the people I try to stay around to try and attract and build something together, wherever that may be.
That's great. We were talking about Gary Vee earlier. I mean, like, so the couple people who were here filming and me and you were just talking about him. One of the things he says often is like, if you would change your whole future if you take one negative person out and replace it with a really positive, goal-oriented, driven person who's going to challenge you to be better.
It's true.
And it's like, yeah, because you hang out with negative people and misery loves company.
Yep.
They want you to be where they are.
Yep.
It doesn't typically work the other way,
Right.
where they join you,
Right.
that they get motivated. So, yeah, that's great. All right, so wing number 3, green serrano pepper, 17,000. These haven't been too hot, right?
Nah.
Okay. We had 300, 1,500, 17,000, so 10 times as hot as that last one.
Cool.
You have to let me know what you think. We are officially out of these bottles of sauce, too, which I'm not upset about. It doesn't taste like anything.
It just tastes like the last one. Is it all green sauces alike?
In my opinion, they're all gross. All right, so this guy's been struggling with a disability. We don't know exactly what his issue is. My assumption is when Jesus says pick up your mat and walk, it's because the man was lame. He couldn't walk, right?
Right.
I know that you are a person who can walk.
Right.
But as you think through your life, like what are some struggles that you've had that, or maybe what's one struggle you've had that's just been, you'd say most of my life I've dealt with this issue?
I would say probably pride. I think it's something that a lot of people deal with, but I think mine's much more pronounced. I do think I have a hard time trying to listen to people and their opinions. Sometimes I'm like, well, my opinion's right. It's very selfish. I mean, it's an amalgamation of a lot of things. Also, you know this about me. I'm definitely a fire starter as well. So sometimes that comes out as well as far as my pride is like, let me stir up some confrontation and then smash this person like a whack-a-mole in front of all these people so they know like I'm smarter than this person.
Sure.
And I've definitely had to realize that about myself and fix that because that's not the best way to go about going around doing things. It also shows not the best light of myself or anybody else. And definitely my wife has definitely talked to me about that. So I've gotten burned a couple of times from, sometimes doing it to the people I care about. And we've had conversations about that. And yeah, pride's a biggie.
Sure. So as a guy, I mean, not that I deal with pride. I'm perfect. I already know that, right? So no, as a guy who deals with the same exact thing, because there's been plenty of times in my life where I love to stir the pot just to prove somebody else wrong, right? Like I get joy out of making you look dumb, or kind of flexing my intellectual muscles or my love to argue. Kim tells me often, not everything's a battle. And I'm like, that's just because you're losing, right? That's kind of my like normal thought on that. But like, what practical ways have you found to like actually? You said I've had to change that. Like, what does that look like?
It's you have to be very patient with people.
That's enough.
That's it.
We don't need another. No. I don't like that answer. Is what I'm trying to say.
Because sometimes I sometimes figured out that sometimes I was in the wrong, and I'm like, oh, now I don't feel as though I'm that wrong all the time. Again, pride coming out,
Sure.
But there are times where I'm like, okay, I need to listen to this person's perspective, let them, say what they got to say to me, and trying to like be in their shoes. I think more people need to do that in general.
Yeah.
And I think the world would be a better place, but it's just that I don't think most people do that, whether they have a pride problem or not. But I think it's more pronounced with pride because you're more or less trying to, again, win the argument and weaponize the intellect, so to speak.
That's great.
But
yeah, I think one of the things I've even tried to do with like coronavirus is I have a perspective on it, just like you do, just like everybody else does. We need to open up the state. We need to keep the state closed. We need to do this. We need to do that. What I've tried to do is just be empathetic and realize that you have an opinion based on your situation and your scenario and your hurts and your pains and those things. And I have an opinion based on my situation and my hurts and my pains and my struggles. And I've got to respect yours. Like, we might disagree, but we can have a conversation and disagree. Exactly. But we got to at least empathize a little bit with each other. All right, so sauce number 4 is cayenne pepper. One quick thing. Hey, Brendan, can you just reach in there and get that bowl out of there? Like, just open it up. Don't let him out, but just get the bowl out. We can edit that or not edit that. I don't really care. Welcome to professional video with Ellen. All right. Red cayenne pepper, 30,000 on the Scoville scale. So this is going to go up about twice as hot as that last one was. But like I said, they don't get too bad until we get to 5 or 6. I'm watching people struggle to put my dog back in his crate. Trying to keep Max out of the conversation. He's crushed it for 4 weeks. He's had no issues.
Like, take me out.
All of a sudden today, he says, I'm done with this crap. I'm tired of you recording, eating chicken wings in front of me. I'm going to be involved. All right. See, to me, that tastes like Frank's Red Hot.
Yep.
That's what it reminds me of, at least.
It's like a lower heat from that, but
yeah,
it's not bad. It's pretty good.
Yeah. So, all right. So, question 4: Jesus asked the guy if he wants to be healed. Right. I think it's a big deal because there's a lot of people who love to play the martyr.
Right.
Right. There's, like you said, I try and avoid people who want to just complain, want to just play the martyr. But has there been a time in your life, in a certain situation? I know not like generally as a whole. But in a certain situation where you've gone, man, I'm just going to play the martyr in this instead of make the change. I'd rather complain than do something different.
I would say sports, but that's like back in the day in high school. There was sometimes in my sophomore year in track, I would go to sophomore year in track. Wanted to get better, but I wasn't putting in the time to get better. And I thought that, a lot of those drills and stuff that we were doing was like boring and lame, and why are we doing these things, frog leaping and all this, and I don't want to hit the weight room. And again, this is the mind of a 14-year-old boy.
Yeah.
So like you're like, I just don't want to do it. I'm whining and complaining. I'm upset that, hey, I'm not running some of the races that I wanted to race. And my coaches were very clear, like, yeah, you can get there, but you need to work.
Yeah.
And stop complaining that you're not getting what you think you deserve. You need to work at it, that was actually a tough time for me because I thought I was better than I was, and I wasn't. And then I put in the work, and then my junior year, then I was way better from putting in the work. One of the coaches came to my house during the summer a couple of times, kind of gave me some tips on what to do. And then that year, I won states in a couple of my events and got the attention of some colleges. And so, like, that was a big lesson.
Sure.
Not complaining about things. I think sports is is the epitome of a meritocracy. So you win based on your merits, period. That's just what it is. It's not because people like you or don't like you. It's, are you better than this person or you're not?
Yeah. Especially that.
Right.
Because you don't even, I guess your overall team win
Right.
is a team win, but, like, you ran sprints, right?
Right.
So 100 meters is 100 meters.
Right.
It doesn't matter what your teammate does in that 100 meters. You're running the 100 meters.
Correct.
So it's a sport that's driven towards if you'll put in the work, you can actually succeed regardless of how good your school is, regardless of what else is going on.
Exactly.
So it makes sense. And, yeah, to me, one of the reasons I love sports is I feel like they're just life lessons.
Yep.
Like that, you learn teamwork, but you also learn things like, I got to do the work.
Right.
One of the reasons for me in high school that I didn't go to college for sports, not that I had a lot of offers on the table or something like that,
right.
but I didn't want to work.
Right.
I was good enough to start. I was good enough to play. I was good enough to do what I wanted to do. And I'm like, I don't care.
Right.
I'm not like, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
I could be better, but
right.
I'm not trying, like I wasn't trying to go anywhere. And
right.
so there were definitely players in high school that were better than me, that worked a lot harder than me,
right.
who deserved things that, they deserved to be able to dunk. I was always jealous that I couldn't, but I never wanted to go lift. Right. And it's like, it's just a reality that if I don't put in the work, it's not going to happen. So, yeah, I like that. All right, wing number 5. Aged red Tabasco pepper. It says it's 250,000 on the scale, so it's supposed to jump way up. Apparently, this one and the Scotch bonnet are the same amount of heat.
Really?
But you can judge for yourself.
Sweet.
I think this is my favorite sauce.
Yep.
It just tastes the way... It's good on wings. It tastes the way wing sauce is supposed to taste.
That's good.
Oh, one quick thing. Green Tabasco sauce, apparently mix it with eggs. Sounds disgusting to me, but 8 different guys have told me to do that. It's not going to happen. It's just a gross sauce, guys, but I get what you're saying, all right? All right, so question 5. So, in order for the man to get better, so we're kind of sticking with this man because it's really the guy who's dealing with Jesus, right? So, in order for him to get better, not only did he have to trust what Jesus said, that he could be healed,
right.
and trust in who Jesus is to be healed, but Jesus says, if you want to be healed, pick up your mat and walk. Right. He doesn't touch him. Like traditional healing in that day would have been like touching, praying over, kind of like what we would envision. All Jesus does is say, hey, if you want to be made well, then get up and walk away from here.
Right.
And the guy had to put his faith into action enough to try and move,
right.
to try and stand up, to try and get up and walk. So what I want to know for you, what's a time in your life where you said, I had to take my faith and actually put it into action to see something happen? And it may be faith like your Christianity, but it may also just be, I had to take my confidence in something theoretically and put it into action to see real results.
Okay. I could say from the job before that I have now, I got recruited. Now in finances, and before that, it'd take like a really crazy test that to be hired at this place, I had to study for like 2.5 weeks, get like a 75 or better, and then I can stay with the company. If not, if I don't pass, then I won't be with that company. So
Got it.
I kind of had to, not kind of, I quit that job that I had then, and then transitioned to this new job. And that's a rough 2 weeks. Not that I didn't think I could pass. It was just that it was a lot of information to cram in 2 weeks. But I did it, and I passed, and it was great. I was very happy. But no, that was a rough 2 weeks. So it's like getting college back all over again for like
Sure.
2.5 weeks.
Cramming for finals all of a sudden.
Yeah, exactly.
But so you made a decision to leave a job, step down from a position so that you could focus on studying for this one.
Yep.
And if it fails, or if the reality is if you fail, it fails.
Yep.
Right? You're out of a job.
Yep.
You don't even have to go back to the other one.
Yep.
And so there's a moment there where you have to go, hey, I've got enough faith that this is the direction I'm supposed to be going, enough confidence that I can accomplish what needs to be done. So I'm going to take the risk and run with it.
Right.
To me, I think a lot of Christians have a bad idea of what faith is.
Right.
So some good friends of mine would define faith as, they say faith is spelled RISK. And I love that. Because I don't think, Hebrews 11:6 says, without faith it's impossible to please God.
Right.
But I think a lot of us want faith that doesn't involve risk. And the reality is that taking steps of faith will always involve risk.
Yep.
Talking to your friends about the gospel will involve risk.
Yep.
Not having sex until you get married will involve risk.
Mm-hmm.
Not like taking certain steps, moving in a certain direction, moving towards a new job, starting a new church, whatever it might be, are things that involve risk. And we want it to not be that way, but the reality is, wherever we are in life, our next step of faith is going to be one that involves the unknown.
Yep.
And something that can go wrong.
Yep.
Would you agree with that?
I agree. No, I totally agree.
Yeah. So
it was definitely worth it. I think taking risks in life, it's better to do that than to do nothing. So,
yeah, I've got great friends who are risk adverse, and I totally get it.
Yeah.
I love them and I appreciate them, and I try and learn from them.
Right.
Somebody I look up to has a tattoo that I'm actually going to be getting that says, "I don't fear death, I fear the life unlived," and that's kind of like I'm not getting it because I want that to be my motto. That's kind of how I've already lived life. Like, I'm not scared if something fails. I'm scared if I don't ever try.
Yeah.
Like, I can't leave that on the table.
Exactly.
So it's one of the reasons we hang out, I think.
That's right.
All right, so next one is Scotch bonnet pepper. So this one's out of Jamaica. It's a Jamaican yellow Scotch bonnet pepper. Says it's the same heat as that other one.
Okay.
Definitely starting to feel the other one a little bit. Not that it's bad, but
It's like a low burn.
yeah. You start to feel it on your lips a little bit, though.
Yep.
All right, so now we start to get into the fun part of the story. Jesus heals a dude, and I would think people would be celebrating, but religious people get mad. It's not, it doesn't seem that untypical, because I know a bunch of religious people that, like, here's a person who's growing, and they're not growing the same way that I did, so I don't like it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we see Jesus heal a guy. Most people celebrate. For some reason, the Pharisees get mad. So this is an easy question for you, just because I know you. We've talked about stuff like this a lot. But what's something you've done, something you do, I don't care, it can be past tense or present tense, that annoys religious people?
Oh, that's a lot of things.
Just for the sake of 4 hours, pick one, pick
one.
two, something.
I typically, when I meet overly religious people, I like to... I'm trying to be nice. I try to ask things, and I try to challenge their worldview. Because I typically feel that a lot of religious people are religious so they are seen. They're not really doing anything. They're just like, hey, I'm so religious. Look at my life. Look at what I'm doing. I'm like, well, what about helping people around you, being practical, stuff like that? And I feel as though a lot of religious people don't think that way. And are very judgmental I mean, they'll judge us right now. We got tattoos
Sure.
on and everything. Like, what's going on?
How can this be church if you're wearing a cut-off shirt?
What's going on with that? You're not wearing a three-piece suit on Sunday, like every Sunday.
Yeah.
It's wild. So I like to challenge. I like to challenge the worldview of a lot of religious people, because it seems to me like a lot of them live in a bubble, and like to judge everyone else, and not really look at the stick in their own eye, as Jesus would say.
Sure.
And it's quite sad.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's Christ-like.
Right.
I mean, not that you're the model picture of Jesus. I'm not trying to put that pressure on you, right? But I think it that's what Jesus does constantly with the Pharisees. He challenges the religious people. He challenges their religion. We're going to get into this next week, but Jesus goes into a conversation with the Pharisees about the Sabbath was meant for people, not people for the Sabbath. God didn't create people so that they follow the rules.
Right.
God created a rule of rest to help the people.
Right.
So if somebody's getting made well on a day of rest, it's okay.
Right.
Let him be made well. That's best for him.
Right.
Not the person wasn't created for that rule.
Yeah.
I know when I was growing up, there were people who literally would say, "No, we cannot mow our lawns on Sundays because it's the Sabbath." And I'm like, if you want to take that as a day of rest and say I'm not going to do yard work, fine.
Right.
But if I'm going to do yard work, I'm not unreligious.
Right.
That's just my day to do it.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it's. I mean, to even jump on to your point, I remember one conversation I was having with a family member of mine, extended family member of mine. They had gotten divorced, and they were talking about, hey, my marriage just didn't work out, blah blah blah, whatever. But they were so religious, and I looked at them, and I asked them hey, I know you, and I know you didn't do everything you could in your marriage. And God says that divorce is a sin. And then he got mad about it. So I was like, oh no, there's a lot of consternation with that. And I get it because it's a sensitive topic. And we talked about how the Pharisees were literally arguing with Jesus about the divorce laws. And they're like, well, they're trying to get him and entrap him. And more or less Jesus was like, well, divorce is a sin, period. But because of your hearts were so hard, God allowed it.
Okay.
So, all of that to say that I think some religious people really argue semantics and then don't really want to deal with what God's best is really for them and for other people. And typically I run into a lot of non-believers don't really argue with semantics. I just do it. And they're cool with it. Not saying that's right. Just saying that's what it is.
Yeah, totally get it.
So.
Yeah, so for two things. I think I'll go into a topic I probably shouldn't dive into, but I'm upset some people. But so divorce to me in Scripture, there's two biblical kind of passes on divorce. One is an affair. The other is abandonment.
Exactly.
So if somebody cheats and somebody just completely abandons the marriage, or one of those two happen, I see it as kind of like a biblical out.
Correct.
In a marriage.
Correct.
And we could talk about that if people are really interested. Text me, email me, call me, whatever. But the other thing is, I think a lot of people, and I'll pick on religious people for a little bit, because I'm guilty of doing this too. There's times where I want to think about the theology, the deep stuff. We hear, like you and I have talked about different people who go, I just want to go deeper. I just want to go deeper. I just want to go deeper. And what they mean is, I don't want to be practical.
Right.
Because you're telling me I actually have to care for somebody.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to do that. I just want to think about deep meaning of something that I don't really understand. Can you quote a couple Greek words to me instead of telling me I got to reach out to my friend who needs help?
Yeah.
I have to be a nicer person because that's part of what Jesus was calling me to do. They don't want that part.
Right.
It's I want to be a smarter person.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it.
Yeah. So I'm not up for the semantics argument. I'd rather just be practical.
Right.
I think faith is meant to be really, really practical.
Yep.
All right. So next one, habanero pepper, 600,000 on the scale. So it should be good. This one steps up a little bit. Yeah.
I love habanero. I think it's my favorite pepper.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So the guy gives an explanation to the Pharisees. They start to question him. Who told you to do that? He's like, I don't know. Here's what happened. I was there to be healed. Man walks by and goes, stand up, pick up your mat, and walk. And I did. Like, that's all I know. And they're like, but who was it? And like, I don't know. He's away in the crowd. He's gone somewhere else. So, to me, it seems like he's giving them an answer, and they're really not trying to listen. Right? When's the last time you were in an argument with somebody that just didn't want to listen? Or maybe you were the person who didn't want to listen.
I'll fall on the sword. I'll do it. I've done it with my wife a couple of times. I'll do it because I don't want to put anybody on blast. I'll put myself on blast.
There you go.
There have been times where, again, pride issue, thinking I'm right. Like, hey, I don't want to do it like that. We had recently fostered a dog, and she's cute. She got adopted a couple months ago, and I wanted to do the fostering a certain way, and I just imagined certain things a certain way. And Christina, she's more dog oriented than I am. She's had obviously more dogs than I have had in her life, and she let me do it because she didn't want to argue with me about how I want to do things with the dog, how I want to create the dog, where I want to put things, what I want to do with it. And then after a couple of days, I started doing what she suggested. And she let me, think that I came up with the idea. She was very gracious about that. But yeah, I definitely learned a lesson with that too. Again, listen to my wife. Some more.
Don't go too far.
Right.
I don't want to overcommit us to having to listen too much. I get it.
And again, she was more knowledgeable than me. I mean, straight up, she just knew what we were supposed to do. I just had much more of what I thought it should go.
Sure.
And I learned a valuable lesson because that dog, she was nice, but she tore up some stuff. But that was my fault. The way I did certain things, I was like, well, it's my fault that the couch is not torn up. It's my fault that certain things happen. So.
Yeah, it's where I tend to get myself in trouble when I know a little bit, enough to think I know what I'm talking about. Then the moments where I'm just like, I don't know anything. Can you help? They tend to go a lot better. But I hate people telling me what to do or how to do it.
I hate it.
I don't care who it is. Like, I can love them or hate them, but I hate being told what to do. It's just kind of like, get away from me. All right. I'd rather fail on my own. All right. It's not healthy. Pray for your pastor, right? I'm just saying that's who I am. All right, so this is, I can't say the first words, but it's a ghost pepper. Okay. 1,000,000 on the Scoville scale. Supposed to be a little bit hotter. How'd you feel with the habanero?
That was good. Yeah.
I like the flavor of that too.
Yeah.
All right. Last few here are all wings.
Cool. Ghost peppers are very intense.
So here's my opinion of it. I like it. Steve likes it more than I do. But the ghost pepper to me is the last one that has flavor.
Right.
The other two are just dumb.
Okay.
Like,
just like we're about to die.
No, it's not like, it's not even that it's that hot. It's just that it's like, there's no flavor to it.
Right.
It's just stupid heat.
Right.
That makes no sense.
Right.
That one definitely gets hotter though.
Oh yeah, like it's real intense.
Like it stepped up.
And then it goes.
Yeah.
It's right there.
And then you get the slow burn in the back of your throat for the next half an
hour. Sorry, Steve. You're probably still dealing with the ghost pepper runs.
Exactly.
Sorry.
All right. No, you're good. All right. So somebody experiences healing. Some people choose to complain. Oh no. Somebody experiences healing. Some people choose to celebrate. Other people choose to complain. So this is a simple question. We're kind of just driving this theme home because I really think in the middle of coronavirus, one of the things that we can do is choose to celebrate. Like we can choose joy over choosing frustration.
Right.
It's an intentional choice we have the power to make. So maybe it's in coronavirus, maybe it's not. But when's the time in your life where you go, I chose to celebrate, I chose joy instead of choosing frustration and complaining?
So like not right after, but a couple of years after I graduated college and then got married, some of my close friends were like, it seemed like their lives were progressing pretty quickly where I wanted to go. And I think naturally sometimes you get jealous. You get like, well, why isn't my life moving that fast? Or the way they're moving. They were getting their first house, getting dogs and all that. And even Christina, like me and her would talk about it. And I seemed more level-headed than her, but a lot of things she was saying, I felt.
Yeah.
And there were certain things we had to get there. We had to make some sacrifices. I mean, me and you, we've talked about that kind of ad nauseum. But I chose after a while to be like, hey, I should be happy for my friends. These are my friends. These are people I know, I hang out with all the time. Jealousy is not. I shouldn't be jealous of someone, anybody, and I definitely should be happy for those I claim to be close with.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy, by no means, but I definitely. I just don't. It was hard. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know how else to say it. It was real hard, and it took a while for me to because it also not only was it hard for me to choose joy, but it also was kind of like, oh man, like there's things about myself that I figured out that I didn't like too, so that was even harder. But it comes to find out, like a lot of my close friends actually were going through some of the same things. So like, oh, well, they're doing this, they're doing that. While they bought a house, me and Christina were able to go on trips that they didn't go on. So it was very interesting. So we all kind of came to a conclusion, oh, we were stupid. Why are we comparing our lives?
The grass is always greener.
Right. We all like are having a decent life. We're all doing good things. You know, life's too short to be jealous and mad, especially with people you claim to love and care about. So
it's great. Yeah, it's great. I know. I found for me, I watch friends of mine succeed. It's been tough, especially like in church world, like where I'll suggest something to a pastor that somebody suggested to me. Yep. They'll do it and it'll execute better for them than it executed for me, and I'm like, why? Like they did the things, and I literally had a friend say to me, "Hey, I just did the stuff you told me to do, and it really worked out." And I'm like, why? It didn't work for me, or I didn't have the guts to try it, or like whatever it was. But yeah, that's good. Like one of the things like Kim and I do, I look at friends of mine that have bigger houses or bigger bank accounts or are looking at a second home for a vacation, and like Kim and I had a practical conversation the other day. It was like, we invested in a boat. Mm-hmm. Most people don't do that.
Nope.
Because they say it's not a great investment, but it's something we love, and so, not that we're trying to get in a second home at 35 years old, but I'm just saying like, the reality is like, no, we're making some different financial decisions. I love that Dave Ramsey quote that is, live now differently than everybody else does so you can live later differently than everybody else does. Right. And so it's one of those things like you and I talked about a long time ago about like making wise financial choices so that later you can have the financial means to do what you want to do.
Exactly.
I'm trying to keep talking to avoid these two wings, but they're not going to end anytime soon unless we eat them. So,
let's do it.
All right. This one is scorpion pepper, 1.4 million on the Scoville scale, so it steps up a little bit.
Don't use Scoville.
Yeah, exactly. I don't understand that scale at all, but higher numbers aren't good.
All right. Yeah, there's no taste. It's just hot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not like a wing taste. It's not like I'm not crazy about the flavor.
Why? Who would want to eat this?
Exactly.
Why?
Except for this. Well, what good is it?
Right. Dude, that is hot. Wow.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Wow. So now's the time where I love to get into the deep questions that really try and make you think. Because you can't. But, no, I've got 2 questions left. They're actually going to be pretty simple. All right, so this one, your wife works in the ICU. You get kind of an inside look at some coronavirus stuff that the rest of us may not get. I'm not asking if you're panicked or what your stress level is, but here's my question. What's your biggest concern right now? How can we kind of come alongside what you're dealing with?
I want to first say that this is, for some people who are like kind of on the fence, this is not a hoax. I have 2 people that were, one that was close to me and one that was a coworker who have died. One kind of died. I just found out yesterday. A friend of mine died. And the coworker, he was like 23. And the guy who was my friend, he was in his early 40s. So this touches everyone. So I'm trying to get my thoughts together.
Why are you distracted?
Yeah, it's hot.
Yeah.
I just think that people need to be careful as far as where they're getting their information from, who they're listening to, irrespective of race, party, whatever your thought patterns are. This is a real deal. This is not a joke. And I do empathize for those people who are out of work. It sucks. I work in the financial industry with a mortgage lender. We get calls all day about people needing help, needing equity out their home, or lowering their interest rate so they can skip a mortgage payment. We get all those types of calls. So I totally understand the hurt, the panic, the anger.
Sure.
The why do I have to stay inside? I should be free. Again, Americans. I think that's just a American thought process. I should be able to do what I want whenever I want, even without reason. So I definitely understand, but I just want people to be like safe. Don't go out to places unless you have to. Think about other people. You know, even those that you wouldn't think about your neighbors, because like freedom is okay. I mean, freedom is, I'm not saying it's okay. It's a good thing, but when your freedom impedes on other people's freedom, including their livelihood and actually their life, then that's a problem.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it. I understand that people want to do certain things. This is not, it's not ideal. It sucks. I actually like it because I'm an introvert and I like being at home. I don't like hanging out with people, but I do understand the average person is like, it's not cool. And definitely like listen to people who know what's going on. Like again, my wife who works as an ICU nurse, doctors, people on the front lines. Don't listen to politicians. All of them have agendas. Business people all have agendas. People who don't know what's going on have agendas. Even maybe somebody on the front line might have an agenda too. But I think their agenda would be to keep you safe, to keep you healthy, so they don't have to see you.
Yeah.
So I would listen to them.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my suggestion to people has been go to CDC's website.
Yep.
Like the media. So I don't think the whole thing's a hoax,
Right.
but I think the media loves stirring up fear.
Yep.
Like they make a business off of that. Yep. And I'm not trying to attach myself to like one side of this argument or another. I mean, you and I were talking before. I think we need to stop polarizing everything.
Right.
I think there's more nuance to it,
Yep.
more conversation. You've lost 2 close friends.
Yep.
Christina sees people die and people live
Yep.
based on this. I've got friends who are business owners who are worried about losing their business and the livelihood that they poured themselves into for years. I think they got to be heard too. Yep. And it's how do we work it all out? How do we balance everything? It's a lot of big decisions.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, like one of the things I'm thankful for is that it's not been as bad as they originally predicted.
Yep.
I mean, initial numbers on April 1st were 1.5 to 2 million people were going to be dying from this in America, and we're in the 50,000 range. Like
Yep.
we're not at those numbers, and that's a great thing. And those projections have come way down for a variety of reasons. And so, like, I'm excited about that, but at the same time, like, I think being able to hear each other, being able to pay attention to how each other's doing, like having empathy for those who are hurting, for those who have lost people. I this is just my personal opinion. I might get myself in trouble with a couple people, but it's really how I think we should be thinking about it. I believe those people arguing to open up the state are not dismissing that people have died.
Right.
And I don't think people saying we shouldn't open up the state yet are dismissing that people may be out of work and losing jobs.
Right.
I think people are addressing the biggest thing they see as the biggest risk.
Right.
And it's the biggest risk to them, right? We're all kind of fighting for our own worldview, our own how we're affected,
Yep.
that kind of thing. It goes back to early in our conversation. We were talking about the need for empathy,
Yep.
Less pride, less aggression, a little bit more empathy. So my big suggestion would be take a breath, do some research from a place that isn't trying to be political.
Right.
Because the more of a political football that this whole thing is, the more I think we're in just a crappy situation.
Yep.
And care for people.
Yeah.
Regardless of what side you're on, care for
Exactly.
people.
Yeah. Like for those who need help, whether it's financial, whatever. Like don't be prideful. Ask for help. For those who have the means to help people, do that. I'm not trying to make myself as a better person, but I have a neighbor of mine. He's in not construction, but he's like a jack of all trades type of guy. Like he helps build houses and all types of stuff. Well, he's obviously out of work right now because of the coronavirus. So he's been cutting my lawn. So I just give him alcohol and beer and other things when he does that for me.
Yeah.
Not because he's doing that to cut the lawn. It's just like, I know that you're out of work. I know you can't do certain things. So here's my nice way of doing something for you, man.
Just a way to say thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Generosity. I went into this a couple weeks ago, but generosity in the early church changed everything. It's what made the difference. It was a group of people going towards sick people instead of running from sick people. That began to change cultures and began to change government structures around things because generosity just won out. Love won out, right? In practical ways. That's why I'm so excited that we got $7,500 to give away to people who are in need because they're out of work, and the ICU where Christina works because we can just make a difference in a meaningful way that actually can last more than a week, right? Instead of being able to just provide drinks, we're providing food and drinks and a lot of other stuff, and being able to set up Christina to really be a person of peace, in that place. So yeah, I think being generous, being empathetic, listening, shutting up. Yeah.
It's hard.
Maybe not posting on Facebook and sitting down with an actual person on Zoom if you want a distance and having a real conversation. That's my rant. All right. Last one. Yeah, exactly. Last one, Carolina Reaper, 2.1 million. This is the one you'll feel tomorrow and tonight. All right. So, yeah. Go ahead and flex. You haven't drank the water yet, though, right?
No.
Dude, you've outmanned the rest of us.
But they say that drinking water will spread the oil, so it actually makes it worse.
I know, but you literally didn't do milk. There's people who have wanted all kinds of stuff. DeAndre ate a donut.
That's funny.
And says it was still the best decision that he could have made.
You gotta blame my parents. We always ate a lot of hot stuff, especially they're from the South. Nothing but hot food sometimes. Again, why?
Yeah.
Bro. Yeah. This is insane.
And it just doesn't make any... there's no flavor.
No, it's just hot. Bro.
You were, still going to town on that wing. I only eat, half of this wing. All right.
Sorry, bro.
You're good.
The chicken's good. That's why I can't stop. But it's hot.
So, last question is easy.
Holy crap.
It kind of goes with the theme of hot ones, if you guys are familiar with that on YouTube. But it's the last dab. You've had that final wing. It kind of gives you carte blanche. You can say what you want to say. So anything else you want to say, or are you good? We can just close it out.
I really have nothing to say, although that is hot. Bro, that is ridiculous. Man.
Wait till later.
Yeah.
I've spent 4 weeks. If that part hasn't gotten any better.
Woo-wee. I guess I'll say, again, good luck to people out there. Stay safe. Again, if you need help, ask for it.
Sure.
Me and Christina are open resources as far as if you need information or education on Corona. My wife is one of the smartest people I know, and she's one of the more gracious people I know. So, and again, if you need to talk to me, I'm open for that.
Are you on social?
Yes.
All right, so we'll tag you. We'll make sure we tag you on social. You guys can reach out to him that way, and then we'll let you give out phone numbers and all that kind of stuff. Email me, ryan@elementchurchlaurel.com. If you need a gift card for some groceries, if you're going through some things, we'd love to help. We are here for you. A couple different ways you can connect with us. We got a small group that meets on Thursday nights. We discuss a quick passage of Scripture, kind of talking about how everybody's doing. We do a check-in as a team. Or as a church, I guess. And then on Wednesdays, my wife leads what she's just calling the Pandemic Book Club. They've been reading through a book, having some fun discussing it. That's Wednesday evening, I think at 6:30 or 7. The small group on Zoom that I lead starts at 7 on Thursdays. And then you can always tune in on Sunday on YouTube. And then also, Go back and check out our podcast. You can find it on Spotify or Apple, or if you have another phone, then check it out on that phone. I don't know where to tell you to go. But they're all up there, and you can check them out. So, guys, thanks so much. Thanks, Phil, for doing it.
Thank you.
And we'll see you guys next week.